Welcome to Angels Talk, Soul Relationships. Here's your host, Sandra Lynch.
What I thought was a pretty good 5-minute talk. I was ready to give it. And at 3 o'clock in the morning, that morning before I was to give it, this voice talked to me.
The voice.
And he said, Jerry, that's a nice talk, but this is what they need to hear. This is all you need to say. Just stand up and say, you are precious, you are beautiful, and you are loved. That's all they ever need to hear. That's all they ever need to feel. That's my message. And so I changed my talk. And I told them a little bit about what my talk was going to be, but I talked a lot about what I was meant to say. And another one of my peers, really sweet, sweet minister who lived in San Simeon Island, he had a way of saying that it's not what you say that affects people, it's how they feel when they leave. Whether that be in a church, whether that be in a personal relationship, it's not about what I say, it's about how they feel when they leave me or when they're with me. And so it's about that. It's about
we're not responsible for the way someone else feels.
No.
So some say.
But we are responsible for loving and for being kind.
100%.
And for honoring and respecting and all those things that acknowledge and build up people. You know, you build me up. You know, that beautiful song that Josh Groban sings.
Oh,
you raise me up.
Yes.
We're here to raise people up.
Yes.
Not in the my dad raised me sense, but my dad raised me up. He didn't just raise me. He gave me some wonderful ideas to live by, which I remember. This is his wedding ring I wear.
Beautiful.
Because I treasure that. I treasure that experience. And we're here to raise people up that are around us, not to tear them down. We all know people who are really good at criticizing and judging and tearing people down. And that's not what we're here to do. You know, that's not what the Dalai Lama practices as his religion. You know, when he's asked, what is your religion? He says, my religion is kindness. Kindness. That's not what Jesus the Christ taught us to do. Love one another, you know, and judge not. Those are the messages that the wise teachers throughout the ages have given us, you know, how to act, you know.
In all graciousness.
Yeah. How to be an angel.
Oh, yeah. The expression.
Yeah. It's about gentleness.
Well, you stated in your book that from a time when you were young, you knew there was the voice inside, or perched on your shoulder. A voice that told me that was good, what was right. That inner voice, my conscience has always been there.
I think we've all heard that. I think we've all, even the cartoons when I grew up, pictured the devil on one shoulder and the angel on the other shoulder, and there were two voices going on inside us all the time. You know, like the Native Americans say, the two dogs fighting inside all the time. And they go to the shaman and they ask the shaman which dog will win. And the shaman says, the one you feed.
I've heard that before.
So we feed the dog's love, and that dog grows, and we can be more loving. You know, what we get back from the world is what we are, what we put out there. You know, it's that prayer of St. Francis. Let me not so much seek to be loved as to be loving. You know, because it's all a circle.
I was just going to say that this book has so many circles in it, round and round. It's a halo all over it.
It's a halo.
Yeah. There was one other question in here that I saw that you asked. Was there ever a time where you felt shame?
You know, I think sometimes we can feel shame without really knowing it until later. This story about following your conscience, following that inner voice. I discovered when I was 44 years old something I had carried around me since I was like 12, when my father had given me a BB gun for Christmas. And I went out, and he said, this is primarily for target practice, put targets up in the backyard, and maybe you can shoot sparrows, but don't ever shoot a robin, And so I went out with my BB gun, and the very next day I saw a robin, and I couldn't resist. I mean, it was a bigger target than a sparrow. Maybe that's why I shot it. The moment I shot it and saw it fall to the ground, I felt such guilt and such shame. And I knew I didn't listen to the right voice. And I buried that thing in the ground just as fast as I could and put the gun away, and I don't know how long it took me to ever pick it up again. And I wasn't consciously aware of that most of my life, but at a certain point in my life, when I was coming to grips with this concept of the inner voice and listening to it, I remembered it, and I was able to share it with somebody and realize how much guilt and shame I had carried around inside all my life, basically. I try to listen to the inner voice now. I try to discern, spend a lot of time in the silence, asking for the next right thing to do. And I tend more often to go in the right direction this today, because it hurts too much not to. Yeah.
Always break for squirrels. Let's talk a little bit about that. We have about 18 minutes left, and we truly invite you to call us, and feel free at any time to interrupt. We want to hear from you. That number again is on the screen at 422-3902. And if we don't hear from you, at least we know you've taken the time to stop, look, and listen in our program here tonight.
There's nothing in the book specifically about squirrels. My original working title for the book was very dry. It was Things I Came Here to Learn. Who would ever pick a book like that up off the shelf or off the
Well,
table?
that's why I picked it up, because I thought, what? Always break for squirrels. Although I do.
Yeah.
If I'm driving, and yes. And in my home, there's a daily ritual with my dog and the relationship with the squirrel in the tree. You know how that is? She wants to get out there and play, and she's a retriever, for heaven's sakes. But yeah, that's the exact reason why I picked it up. I thought,
That's right.
Jerry, that's an interesting
And
title.
that's what the voice told me when I said, I need a better title. I need a title that's going to attract people's attention and make them want to pick it up. And so I got quiet and sat down on my sun porch, and a squirrel walked across the street. And that was my message. I was, again, being aware of where I was, connected with nature, being mindful of what was happening, and that was my answer. Always break for squirrels. Because a large part of the book is about honoring all of life, considering that all of life is sacred. Every creature, every person, every rock, tree, and leaf, Mother Earth, the sky, the waters. And we need to protect it all and to honor it all. And it's not just about people. It's about everything. God's all there is,
All there is.
And so I talk about crickets and squirrels and my dog Bucky, who is totally oblivious to every squirrel on our walks, but if he sees a rabbit, he's after it. And I can't understand that. But he does. So it is about, there's an ancient Zen question that says, does a speck of dust have a soul? Does a speck of dust have a soul?
Would you like me to say yes or no to that one?
Well, your answer, your truth is your answer.
Speck of dust have a soul. Well, that's a little different to me.
If you're attuned to Native American wisdom, they talk about the rock people and the tree people and the plant people, things we don't normally think of as people or souls on their eternal journey.